Welcome to Africa Insight. In this week's video, we discuss an election in the southern African nation of Malawi. So Louw, tell us what's happening.
So Malawians experienced significant deja vu this Tuesday, September 16th, when they headed to the polls, confronted with very familiar options. The main and frankly only viable presidential candidates were the incumbent, President Lazarus Chakwera, and former President Peter Mutharika. It was their fourth head-to-head. Now, I think by any metric, the Chakwera administration has been a huge disappointment, and early projections show that Malawian voters felt the same way. We won't have results for a while. The MEC has 8 days to call the presidential election, 14 for the parliamentaries, and the country's voting system is very much an analog, physically counting ballot papers kind of thing. But like I said, early indications are that Mutharika will finish ahead of Chakwera. The big question is rather, will he get more than 50% of the vote, or will the country, for the first time since the rules changed, head to a runoff election in 30 days? And it's perhaps unsurprising that Mutharika's DPP is leading Chakwera's MCP in earlier results. But again, no party looks set for a majority, meaning another coalition government is loading.
That's interesting, Louw. So you've mentioned that Malawi is unusual in the fact that no party has achieved a majority since Hastings Banda first allowed multi-party elections in 1994. Is this true?
Yes, indeed. And so Malawi has had a succession of coalition governments for more than 30 years now, and there's no reason to think that's about to change. Malawi is also notable for going through peaceful transitions of power multiple times now, and this election looks the same. Now, Mutharika came into the election in a strong position, notwithstanding his age. Jervin, he is 85. Or his lack of vitality. He was often absent from DPP events, and his appearances were carefully stage managed. His running mate was controversial too, Jane Ansah. She was the head of the Malawi Election Commission in 2019. Was removed shortly before the court-ordered rerun in 2020. And so Mutharika's success was perhaps less about his election offer and more due to Chakwera's poor record, especially on the economy. Indeed, many voters said they believed life was better during Mutharika's first term and were willing to run the risk of Mutharika dying in office, as his older brother Bingu did in 2012.
So Louw, was this just a toss-up between Chakwera and Mutharika? Did voters have other options?
There were other options, but they were similarly uninspired. Joyce Banda ran again. You recall she was Bingu's vice president, succeeded him in 2012. So too Atupele Muluzi, whose father Bakili defeated Hastings Banda all the way back in 94 before being succeeded 10 years later by the elder Mutharika. So familiar names, familiar faces. But you'll recall, Jervin, that last time we spoke on Africa Insight about Malawi, we spoke about Saulos Chilima, then vice president, who was Chilima's vice president, but also Mutharika's, but then quite tragically died in a plane crash in 2024, robbing us of a three-way race in 2025. The man who replaced him, Michael Usi, as vice president, started his own party at the elections, but also failed to move the needle. And so perhaps even though these presidential hopefuls flopped, their parties will be in business once the final results of the parliamentary elections are announced. Smaller parties hoping to become kingmakers might ask for their leaders to be considered for the job of vice president.
I think let's leave it at that. Thank you for joining Africa Insight this week. If you'd like more information on our products or services, please visit our website or socials.